Hello, Ethan Vessels, lawyer in Marietta, Ohio. Today in this video we want to talk about automatic renewal provisions in oil and gas leases. In a related video we talked about savings clauses and how lessees can continue an oil and gas lease. And we also talked about the primary term and secondary term of an oil and gas lease. One of the savings clauses that we see is the automatic renewal provision. And what that is the way for the lessee to continue the oil and gas lease by restarting the primary term. Now again, the primary term is the term, what people see as how long is the lease. That period from the date of the signing of the lease until the time when the lessee must drill a well or the lease expires. An automatic renewal provision allows the lessee, usually by paying a certain sum, sometimes it's a lump sum or sometimes it's an amount per acre, in order to basically restart the lease. Now, a lot of landowners have questions about these automatic renewal provisions because we're now at the point of time in the Utica shale boom where many of these leases are starting to expire. Many of the lessees do not want the leases to expire, so they're invoking their automatic renewal provisions. Now, the very first most important thing is, does the lease even allow for automatic renewal? Not every lease has that written into the lease, and yet I've had many clients, or at least several clients, call me where they've gotten a check in the mail purporting to be some payment to renew the lease when that option was never written into the lease. So that's the very first thing that the lessor needs to look at. Let's assume that the lease does have an automatic renewal provision. The lessor, the landowner, needs to look at the precise terms of the lease. The lessee cannot continue the lease by payment of some sum to automatically renew the primary term unless they exactly satisfy the lease and how it's supposed to happen. Next question, has the lessee sent the right amount? The lease will specify with an exact precision of how much money is supposed to be sent and the manner in which it is supposed to be sent. I've seen clients come in that say that there's an automatic renewal provision and then the lessee sends a lesser amount. Well, that's not going to satisfy the lease. So we need to look at that. And finally, the most important thing among these categories is, did the lessee send the required payment before the end of the primary term? If they send it afterwards, the lease is over. They didn't satisfy the clause. The option was not exercised in time. And we've seen clients where the payment was sent days or even weeks later. So my advice to lessors, the landowners, is be very careful when you get a check in the mail, particularly as you are running up to the end of your lease. You need to know exactly what that payment is for. Is it to satisfy an automatic renewal provision? Is it a delay rental? Is it a shut-in royalty? You need to know these things. And be sure that you understand exactly what the lease says so it matches up with what your expectation of the payment is. If you have any questions, you should be contacting a lawyer. This is not a do-it-yourself operation. Sometimes by cashing these checks, not knowing what they are, the landowners have bound themselves to things that they don't understand. I highly recommend that you contact a lawyer, and again, this is not a do-it-yourself operation, and also this is not the type of thing that you can just call your general practitioner. I've spent the last 4 years working on these very types of cases, helping landowners whose leases have expired. Please give me a call at 740-374-5346 or visit my website, www.fieldsdehmlow.com. Thank you.